Call this July 8th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Can we have the roll call, please?
Andre Spinelli.
Here.
Jared Gardner.
Here.
Radhika Krishna.
Here.
Jim Winchester.
Here.
Scott Pullis.
Here.
Brandy Eber.
Here.
Daniel George.
Here.
Greg Strike.
Here.
Jeff Ron is excused. You have a quorum. Thank you.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Moved by Commissioner George, seconded by Commissioner Pullis. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any objections to the minutes? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Any disclosures? Hearing no disclosures, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Commissioner Eber, seconded by Commissioner Winchester. Anyone wishing to pull anything for discussion? Are there any objections to the consent agenda? Hearing none, consent agenda is approved. We'll now read the process by which the public may testify. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Commission at its meetings is, 1, after staff presentation is completed on a public hearing item, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. 2, persons wishing to testify will follow the time limits established in the Commission rules and procedures. Petitioners, including him or her representatives, will receive 10 minutes. Part of this time may be reserved for rebuttal. Representatives of groups, community councils, PTAs, etc., will receive 5 minutes. Individuals will receive 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the Commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the Commission. Any party of interest wishing to appeal shall first file with the Planning Director within 7 days of the Commission's decisions made on the record a written notice of intent to appeal in accordance with AMC 2103-050A4A. Commission recommendations to the Anchorage Assembly are not appealable. Following approval of the written findings of fact and decision, any party of interest may within 20 days file an appeal by filing a notice of appeal and paying the appeal fee and deposit in accordance with section 2103-050. The notice of appeal must be filed with the Planning Director on a form prescribed by the municipality. If the appellant is not the applicant, the appellant notice of appeal shall include proof of service on the applicant. Okay, can we please have the staff presentation in case 2024-0064?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a straightforward conditional use for a snow disposal site in northeast Anchorage. The property has access to both Boniface Parkway and DeBar Road, 2 arterial roads. The petition site contains 6.5 acres. State and municipal agencies have no objections to approval of this conditional use application. 464 public hearing notices were mailed and no responses were received. Planning hasn't received any phone calls about the property, and no comments were received from the Northeast Community Council nor the Rush and Jack Community Council. The Planning Department finds that the general conditional use standards, the approval criteria for a conditional use, the general approval criteria for conditional use are all met, and likewise with the conditional use standards for snow disposal sites, the use-specific standards. Therefore, the Planning Department's recommending approval of this conditional use for a snow disposal site, subject to the conditions on pages 10 and 11 of your packet. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks for your time.
Are there any questions for staff? Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you. I was wondering, I saw the reference to the shadow analysis that was provided, and I think it's on one of the pages in here. Was that a requirement to be submitted in some fashion, or what was the context in which that was included with the application?
That was something that staff requested after the application had been submitted in order to evaluate whether there would be a shadowing or compatibility issue with the hospital to the north.
Okay, and then I guess just as a quick follow-up, it just, when I first read that comment, I guess in my mind, I assumed that that analysis would be with the snow there, but it looks like, if I'm reading it correctly, the analysis is not incorporating any estimate for the effects of a snow pile. It's just, or does it, I guess, is my question. Is that built into the shadow analysis?
Craig, that includes the snow pile, correct? Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it was assuming a base elevation and 35 feet on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff? Seeing no more questions for staff, we'll move on to the petitioner's presentation.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Craig Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, with S4 Group. Quest Engineering is also here to answer any civil-related questions the board may have. And I want to express our gratitude to staff. They've done an excellent job, and we appreciate their effort. This is a simple, smooth case, so I'll just be brief. This CUP application is for a snow disposal site in East Anchorage. We are in complete agreement with staff on their recommendation of approval. We agree to all the department conditions. There are no objections from any of the state or municipal reviewing agencies. We had a positive community council meeting, and there have been no public comments objecting to this case. This is a perfect location for a snow site. It's located on two main roads, Boniface Parkway and DeBar. The zoning is B3, and a snow disposal site is permitted with a CUP. There are no wetlands or streams on the site. And Anchorage needs more snow sites. As shown during the last two winters, snow was being hauled out to Eagle River, which added significant trekking costs, traffic, and time. Snow from parking lots and roofs contributed to large snow piles on property recently. And unpermitted snow disposal sites were also a problem last winter. The Assembly had to allow a temporary emergency snow site this past winter, and this site will help resolve the need for the Assembly having to repeat that this winter. In conclusion, both staff and I recommend approval of this case. East Anchorage needs a snow disposal site. With that, I urge the board to approve our CUP. Thank you.
Commissioner Krishna has a question.
Sure, I live right by here, so I'm very familiar with the site, or the coffee cart on the site.
Yes.
So I want to ask about the driveways. So the right-in, right-out driveway setup that was described, does that mean that trucks will only be entering the site from DeBar and then only exiting onto Boniface?
So I do have the professional traffic engineer with Kenny Engineering here too. Can address that a little bit better, but we're working with DOT. Most likely the existing curb cut is going to go away, and there will be a new driveway moved to the north. And so it'd come in...
On Boniface.
Correct. On Boniface, go through the site and come out down on the south side.
So trucks would only be entering on Boniface and leaving on DeBar, or would there be entrances, and they'd be entering and exiting on both roads?
Right now, preliminary talks with DOT, entering just on Boniface, exiting on DeBar, but that's being worked out with DOT right now, and traffic at the city. Prefer one in, one out.
Sure, is that just because of the direction of the snow coming? Because that section of Boniface is narrower than DeBar there, so I imagine actually that even when regular trucks turn into that site, it kind of slows traffic down right by the intersection. So I'm curious I'm sure you've thought about that.
Correct. And the existing drive, there's a island in front of it, so that also plays with moving the driveway to the north and putting up a vertical curb where the existing coffee cart driveway is right now. So there won't be an island right there in front.
Oh, okay, so there's wider,
Yes.
okay. And then there was something about a waiver on DeBar because something about like the entrance on DeBar has to be 200 feet away from the median break or something?
DOT said something like that. They prefer the site coming in on Boniface, exiting in DeBar, and they say, apply for the permit. And we need to get through this process, and then we'll apply. So they are well aware of it, and DOT we had a pre-app meeting with them, and they were happy with the direction we were going.
Okay, thank you.
I see no further questions. We'll now open this hearing to public testimony. Anyone from the public wishing to testify? Seeing none, you have 8 minutes for rebuttal. Do you have anything you wish to add?
No, thank you, unless there's another question. All right, thank you.
All right, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. What is the will of the body? Motion by Commissioner Winchester, seconded by Commissioner Krishna. Commissioner Winchester, would you like to state your motion?
I move in case 2024-0064 to approve a conditional use for a snow disposal site in the B3 district, subject to the conditions shown on page 10 and 11 of the staff report. And
would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, when words and simple, smooth, and straightforward come up, I'm going to do the motion on this one, and I'll leave the more difficult ones for other members. But I'd like to point out that it meets all general and use-specific standards set forth. 64 public notices were sent out. None were received in opposition. 2 community councils, the Northeast Community Council and Russian Jack Community Council, did not provide any objection to this. There's a shortage in haul units and drivers in the last couple winters, so this is going to help alleviate some of the difficulties we've had in moving snow around this town. And we had a public comment opportunity here, and nobody spoke in opposition to this. So for those reasons, I support this.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the motion? Commissioner Gardner.
Thank you. I just wanted to note as well that with respect to compatibility with adjacent uses, there was a shadow analysis that was performed, and we heard from the representative earlier that that was done with the 35 feet of snow included.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the motion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. That motion passes. All right. Any commissioner comments before we wrap up the night? Seeing none, we entertain a motion to adjourn. It's moved and seconded. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.